All right, you guys. Think Bigger podcast, community conversations. The guest today is pretty much what has become like my younger brother, Sebastian. The amount of things that this gentleman has carved out for himself as things that he does. There's a lot of subject matters, a lot of importance here, and I've been happy to be able to get down to this part of the country to sit with him, even though we traveled together to a lot of cities, but it's just the logistics didn't work, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And so here we are, Sebastian. I get to sit with you and we're going to have this conversation. So I know I just asked you, but you haven't listened to any of these podcasts, right?
I haven't, unfortunately.
Okay.
I don't... I don't... Okay, so because I spend so much time on social media in general...
Yes.
I try to not spend a lot of time on just, like, things that consume time on social media.
Yes.
Like things that are just, like, I have to direct, like, another... You know what I mean? Like, it's on top of, like, the amount of time that I spend on there.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so with that being said, though...
Yeah.
Let's elaborate on that, right? For the people who are like, I don't know who this guest is. Mm-hmm. What are those things that take up so much of your time on social media?
It's not even that much time. It's just that I get unsettled if, like, I spend, like, 13 minutes on social media. Because of the fact that if I spend 13 minutes on social media 10 times a day, it's 130 minutes of my day.
I dig it. But what is your attention when you're utilizing social media? What is it comprised of?
It's pretty brainless. That's why I don't
brainless.
Like it. Yeah, that's why I don't like it. That's why I don't like spending more time than I should.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what, like world star videos?
No.
Not that kind of brainless.
I have all that stuff blocked. Like, I don't...
As you should.
I don't like seeing any of that stuff.
Okay, so what does Sebastian comprise? What comprises brainless activity to you?
Well, it's mainly brainless, but I try to go on social media to see, like, only what people that I guess I enjoy whatever they're doing.
Yes.
Doing. I like directors that I follow. Like, I like seeing what they're up to. My close friends and like a few cars that I enjoy. I'm really nitpicky with the cars that I enjoy. Like, I feel bad about it because I'm friends with so many people in the automotive community, but there's so few people that actually enjoy what they're doing with their cars.
Yes.
So I just choose to, like, I like to go on social media and see what I like and then close it.
Which is good. I mean, I know people who leave it like amongst other apps.
Yeah.
It's open.
Yeah.
So when they unlock their phone, it's there. It refreshes itself.
Yeah, no. I have, you know how you can like put your apps in like different folders.
Yes.
I have like on the 5th page of apps, there's like 2 empty pages, and then there's a folder that's.
So you have to go through that many swipes and touches.
Yeah. So it since it's so much, like I'll visit it a lot less. I have to like really hone in on just like, because I would just mindlessly open my phone and open the social media and
that's what most
scrolling.
people do. Yeah.
And just start scrolling and just time would go. So I had to like actively do something about that.
All right, so talk about that. What prompted you to say I need to actively reduce my time on social media?
I don't know. I did this whole like taking more control of my life thing this year.
Yeah.
Where I just like stopped kind of making excuses for myself and started like just actively doing things that I should have been doing, like exercising every single day, eating cleaner, you know, my water intake, less time on social media. To even to start this whole like spending a lot less time on social media, I went off social media for like a month and a half or so.
Zero.
Yes. Like zero. Like deleted all the apps on my phone and just like archived everything.
Just decompress.
Yeah, it was good and bad. I mean, the big downside is that like once I got back on social media, my work kind of slowed down because like when people that you work with don't see you active on social media, they kind of just tend to forget that you exist because like, you know, you have only a work relationship with those people. So like it's not like they're hitting you up for gigs.
Socially, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Okay, so let's talk about that. What people, what communities, what realms of work are we talking about that ended up suffering in that little break period?
Well, I work freelance.
Yes.
And a lot of the people that I regularly interact with on social media are people that I work with or for.
Yes.
So it's just when you're not seen active in like your industry, you're easily forgotten because especially like the industries that I work in, automotive, music, which are the main industries I work in, they're very active, hyperactive industries that, you know, once you're not active within them, you know,
sure,
you're just how are you going to cross through someone's mind that like like needs to find someone to fill in a gig?
So automotive and music, right? Let's break those down, right? So let's start automotive, right? And who do you work with or for, or who have you worked with prior to this that builds up the resume of your particular jobs within the automotive community?
It's a lot.
Yeah, but go for it.
Let's see. There's one production company that I work for, A1 Visuals, that through them I've worked for BMW North America, Jaguar Land Rover North America, Rolls Royce, and Ferrari. So that's been pretty cool.
And these are those OE corporate companies. You're not working with a PR firm. You're not working with a dealership.
No.
You're not working with a collector. You were talking about with the actual OE.
Correct, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, mainly for their social stuff.
And then you just did Bentley.
No? Just did Rolls Royce again.
So the pastel tones?
Yeah, the pastel collection.
Yeah, I did see that online, the pastel collection.
Yeah, for Monterey Car Week.
For Monterey Car Week was all the Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw that. You guys, Sebastian is going to speak kind of matter-of-factly about it, but these are the types of contracts, these are the types of photographic gigs that he's getting. This isn't any more shooting at a car show per se. I mean, we're talking about Monterey Car Week. For those of you listening, if you don't know what that is, just type those 3 words into Google and it will expose you to an entire different realm of automotive enthusiasm and collecting and really a kind of a different tax bracket of human beings that happen to love cars.
Oh, completely different.
Monterey Car Week, just Monterey, Monterey Car Week, and it will just open your eyes. These people are very, very well-to-do people that really, really like cars. And they collect them as like we collect paper clips. There's some very wealthy, hardcore automotive guys. And so you've worked with all those OEs like you talked about.
Yeah.
Right? Monterey Car Week. And what type of locations? Where have they had you go and do? And how does that end up factoring in?
Done a lot of Rolls Royce jobs pretty local to here because BMW North America is actually like 12 minutes from here where I live.
Yeah.
And that's where Rolls Royce North America functioned out of. So we've done a lot of stuff like in New York City, in New York State, and just around here in New Jersey with them. Outside of that, we've done stuff we did a really cool campaign for Cullinan in Aspen earlier this year, which was really cool. And they had
for which company?
For Rolls Royce.
In Aspen, Colorado?
Yeah. They had like these 2 drivers out, and they were like rally car drivers, so they were drifting these Cullinans through the mountains, which is absolutely insane. We were shooting them from
Are you chasing?
Van. We were leading.
Yeah.
So
you're out of the back of a van while these 2 guys are ripping up the mountain.
Yeah, in Cullinans.
Yeah.
Like $500,000 SUVs.
$500,000 SUVs. That's dope.
The drivers were super cool. One was British, one was French, and they were such cool older gentlemen.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what they do for a living.
Yeah. They're professional drivers. And one of them has like a rally school in France.
Okay.
So they were just really cool people, and it was such a good, like, everyone working on that job was like a good tier within what they did.
Yeah.
So, like, it was me, Anthony,
Halcyon.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was all for under the production company that we work for a lot, A1 Visuals.
Yes. All right.
Cool.
So Aspen, right? That's just one example of a cool location.
Yeah.
Crazy set. Okay. So who came up with
Los
that?
Angeles and also.
Yeah. You've been Miami? You've been all over.
Yeah, like with Rolls Royce. Yeah, we've done stuff all over the place. It's been really cool.
All right. So what's next for photographically for you? Automotive wise, because we're getting to the music.
Okay, automotive wise, I mean, even though like I do like a lot of work for corporate OEs and whatnot, I do still like have the grassroots stuff that I love. And,
yeah.
Like, for example, this weekend we just had First Class Fitment, which I was like really honored that Dave reached out to me to hire me to cover the last First Class Fitment because he enjoyed the perspective that I have shot the last few years.
Yeah.
Kind of like focusing more on the people interacting and the kind of like the beautiful environment mixture that goes on there. I was really, really excited about that. Like, it's been a while since I've been really excited about a gig, and like First Class was very exciting for me.
It was good, man. It was good.
It was beautiful. It was really
beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It was an honor to be able to like cover that for him in like a way that I know would make him happy.
Yeah, so from grassroots all the way to luxury OEs, different locations, mountains, beaches, LA, Miami, you've done it all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving forward, I think we do have 3 campaigns with Rolls Royce coming up, but nothing's really set in stone. One thing that I think is happening is we're going to the Salt Flats in Utah.
Yeah.
But nothing's really set in stone yet. They just know that there's 3 campaigns that we're on, and like they're just trying to figure out logistically.
So they're the creative directors. They're coming up with that part.
To an extent, we've had meetings of like throwing ideas around, and like they do involve us in the whole idea process. But there's so many logistics involved with like, where the cars get built, where they get sent to, that they kind of have to. We could throw ideas out there, but they have to like bring realism into it, and like see like be like, well, like for example, that earlier this year, I had to shoot a Phantom, one-off that they built, and it was gonna be shot here in New Jersey, but it had to be shipped to California to be in the TV show Ballers.
Okay.
Rock, I think executive produces it. So like literally maybe like 6 days before we were supposed to shoot, they're just like, we're actually gonna send you to LA, and like
now you got to make it work over there.
Yeah, and like it was like just a curveball.
Sure.
Just like of just logistics. That's what it is now. So we'll make it happen.
Now you just make it happen. Yeah. I mean, because obviously you could come up with these amazing ideas like, hey, I think we should go drifting in the Congo, and they're gonna be like, right. So that's amazing, but that's not really logistically all that possible.
But it is cool that I do get creative freedom though. Yeah. Like I completely once they were like, all right, we're doing this in LA, I was like, all right, like working with whatever budget we had, I was like, let's see if one day we can get like a warehouse space, kind of like rustic, industrial looking, and then I really wanted to put a ballerina in there with the car.
Okay.
And kind of like just make it kind of like this scene where the ballerina was the main focus, and the car kind of just existed in that same environment.
Yes.
Didn't even run it by them. They kind of just like were just like, yeah, just do whatever for three or 4 days. I think it was I was shooting the car. So most of the days I was just shooting the car around LA, and then the Wednesday that I was there, I planned this whole thing out. And then I sent everything to them, and they kind of like flipped out. They were just like, this is amazing.
Okay, did you source the ballerina?
Yeah.
Okay, so you didn't even tell them that particular part of the layout.
No, it was just a surprise.
And so you bust out a ballerina.
Yeah.
You get your angles and your feel.
Yeah, I even got like a gaffer, got like all lighting.
And you send them these images, and they're like, okay, this is amazing.
Yeah, they weren't expecting it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think any suit is gonna be in the office, and he's like, all right, so let's look at what he did, and then there's a ballerina. Yeah. So that's pretty cool, man.
Well, they had like this whole thing this year, which I was really happy about. They wanted no more like really obvious luxury content. They didn't want like like champagne.
Sure, someone like swirling whiskey or scotch or something.
Yeah, they kind of just want things that are more like beautiful.
Yes.
Which this is what I wanted to do for a really long time, but like I'm not their creative director.
Yeah.
So now that I had the opportunity to do so, like once I ideated that, I was like, they're gonna definitely be for it, and it's also something that I wanted like to show them rather than to run it by them first.
Yes.
Because I think showing them added like a different perspective to the whole idea.
Okay, so I mean, we're talking about Rolls Royce, BMW, this location, leading while 2 professionals are taking $500,000 SUVs going up a mountain, getting thrown a curveball, going to LA, and you getting a ballerina. There's going to be a certain amount of people who are listening who are like, okay, hold on a second. He just mentioned First Class Fitment, which is a tuner Euro / this kind of stance world of younger people, mm-hmm. right? And whether that perspective is correct or not, they're just that's a car show.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about how is the guy having the creative freedom to send Rolls Royce or BMW this or that. How did you make that connection? How did you start in photography, and how did it evolve into now 2019 having these mega clients?
All right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I, in comparison to most people that do photography, I picked up a camera pretty late.
Okay.
I didn't pick up a camera till college, and I went to school for graphic design for advertising, and I had 2 electives my first semester, and I forgot what the second one was. Which was probably really insignificant.
Kind of funny, yeah.
And the other one was photography.
Yeah.
I picked. I was like, that's cool. Like I wanted to take photography in high school, but I didn't because I was on the electronics team, and I was like really invested in that. So
there was an inclination towards photography, but just kind of in the background.
yeah.
So you just took the elective in college.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like,
So they're teaching you film and everything.
They
were already past. They don't even teach film anymore.
No, like the first day of class, like there was like everyone bring out your digital cameras, and I was like, what? It's like I had to pay for this class. Like, you mean I gotta pay for a camera now?
I see. Okay.
So I like that same day went to like the nearest camera store. My parents helped me out, thankfully, and
point and shoot.
We bought it was a DSLR.
Okay.
It was just the lowest tier of Nikon that we can get. Like
yeah.
The Nikon D3100 at the time, which I shot with that camera for like almost 5 years.
Yeah.
I shot with that camera into my career. Like,
you made your career off that.
Yeah, like a camera that you're not supposed to be using for like big gigs.
Yeah.
And I started getting work with having like, that type of equipment.
Okay, but you know, we talked about that. There are people who won't hire someone because of their equipment. You're like, look at the results. Look at the end product. Yeah. Stop being caught up in how many prime lenses do you have, and are you shooting RAW? Or just stop that, right?
No, definitely shoot RAW. Like,
well, yeah. Well, there's
definitely.
People who don't even understand, right?
Yeah. But so I picked up that camera.
Yeah.
And most of the assignments in that semester just required like shooting things that you regularly did and were around, and just like every assignment was pretty open ended. I don't remember the specifics of them, but they were pretty vague, which allowed you to just complete the assignment within whatever environment you were in. And
so highly subjective to the teacher.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was mainly just like you had to accomplish the task at hand. And I was already into cars. I've been into cars since before I had a license. You know?
Yeah.
I was when I was in high school, I was on like Honda Tech and B20B Tech and those forums.
So you started off as a Honda guy.
Yeah. I started off as a Honda guy. When I picked up my first camera, I had a Honda. And I was going to car meets a lot, hanging out with friends. All my assignments, I was completing them just like shooting friends' cars and like being at car meets. Maybe it's like some BMX stuff in the middle of all that. But then I started just like really just like going out to shoot for fun a lot. And I was just like, I just hit up a friend with a cool car. And I wanted to learn light painting. So I was like, yo, give me like 3 hours of your time tonight. We had to go somewhere pitch black, and I have this LED bar, and I just want to learn how to like light paint your car.
What were you doing? Like hearts, or like trying to spell out your name? Or
No. Like just like actually paint the car with light, and it be the only exposed thing, and just like
I see.
Like learning like how to make a composite from that, and just like a lot of things like that. And I started bringing my camera to everything that interests me. So I was at car shows and meets a lot, just always taking photos of everything and just learning more and more. I was never trying to make it a thing. I was trying to learn it.
Sure.
I was really invested in just like, at a certain point, I was realizing that I was creating images that were well above like the equipment I had.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, photography is more of like you learn the actual skill set. You know, as long as you have manual options, you can make the image you have in your mind reality. So I just started honing in on that, and then I really I live relatively close to New York City, so I used to always just every weekend meet up in New York City with a group of friends, and we just like have our cameras and
just shoot
walk
anything.
around, shoot like Chinatown. It was nicely lit up. Like we used to like, not that I'm proud of it, or it was not that I'm saying it was cool or anything. We used to like break into buildings and go rooftopping, and like take photos of like from crazy vantage points in New York City that we really shouldn't have been doing. But
were these condemned buildings?
they're like functioning buildings.
Okay, so not like you shouldn't do it, meaning it was unsafe because it was a condemned building.
It was really unsafe.
Oh, because
it was really unsafe. Like,
like you're like leaned over a rooftop.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
And like there was some like occasions that there were buildings that were being still built that we would just get into the actual construction site, avoid workers, and make our way up like 72 flights of stairs. It was dumb, but it was like, I don't know, it provided some cool rush at the time. In hindsight, it was just really dumb.
Yeah.
I did learn a lot about just like using a camera to its full potential because you're just put in so many situations that are just different.
Well, you were talking about, a second ago you mentioned manual options, right? Because like there's a lot of people, they buy a very highly functional body, right? Mm-hmm. But it's auto ISO, autofocus. Mm-hmm. And they're just kind of rocking with that. What is, as a professional photographer, what is your take on that? Like, do you say turn off all that and just fiddle with it?
I think if you're learning, you should start fiddling with it.
Yeah.
I think once you've learned, I think you could start regressing and turning some things on that help you in
to
certain,
expedite the process.
In certain like work environments. Yeah. Like I know people that shoot sports and they have it like always in that AV mode, which I don't know much about the different modes of camera because I just
manual everything.
Yeah. Besides focus, I definitely use autofocus, especially in like motorsport stuff. And
it's too fast to
I'm not gonna take chances.
Sure.
I have to get
sure. But I mean, you're in Jersey, right?
Yeah.
I mean, born and raised.
Yeah.
So, like you said, close to New York, so you have the whole Manhattan-y thing, but then there's all the car events, right?
Yeah. So then there was doing all the like the New York City stuff. So then I continued the pattern of bringing my camera along with everything, like to things that actually excited me and actually enjoyed me. Because also I really enjoyed, like if things were exciting to me and like being able to make exciting images out of it and like other people can kind of like engage with it.
Yeah.
That like brought like a really cool, I don't know, feeling.
Sure.
In a sense. And then I started bringing my camera along to drift events. I started like signing up for the media of like Club Loose, which was really cool. And then I started like learning more motorsport photography, like putting in practice things that like Larry Chen would like write about or talk about. And also then I started bringing my camera to underground rap shows. And that's how the snowballs or the first domino fell into like the whole music thing.
All right, so let's get into that, right? So underground rap shows, conceptually no different than Club Loose and little car meets, right? Small time, people just grassroots, right? And now let's just to give perspective, right? Mm-hmm. Underground rap shows, and let's just jump now. Name 5 artists that you photographed this year alone. Not from the crowd, you are the media team.
Yeah, Post Malone, which was on New Year's. I worked for him. If I step into last year, I worked for Marshmello for a bit.
Yep.
It's Travis Scott.
Yep.
Let's see, Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just trying to find the standout names.
Yeah. Okay.
But even my good friends, Sesh Hollow Water Boys, which is Xavier Wolf and Bones and Chris Travis. Like I work for them a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you just named world famous stars.
Yeah.
Right?
So what about everything from them to Sesh Hollow Water Boys?
So what about the festivals? What festivals are you the media guy for? If that's the way I really word it.
I work for Rolling Loud on all of their festivals year round. Soundset, which is in Minneapolis. I'm gonna be working for another festival in Nashville pretty soon. I forgot the name of. I'm sorry. and I'm gonna be working for Posty Fest in Dallas, which is pretty cool.
Okay. So let's take the one I think that's probably gonna resonate with more people, even the people who don't know much about it, but would have definitely heard about it.
Yeah.
Rolling Loud, right? How many stops are in the Rolling Loud festival tour?
I think this year is 5 or 6.
Okay, what's the average count of people at the festival?
They range between 40 to 70,000.
40 to 70,000 people losing their shit,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
seen I have seen your photos
Yeah.
and others. It's never been my scene. I remember when raves, indoor, and I was in LA, and I went to a couple just to check it out because you had one area which was the hip hop, and then you had like the indoor, which was like the unsers, like the EDCers, right? And I would see like the Candy Kids and people like exchanging and then I would see like people smashing in the crowd, like literally.
Wow.
Like I was at one in LA, the Coliseum Amphitheater. I don't remember, like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was out. The hip hop ended at like 2 or 3 in the morning. Right, and that's when I was still young and I could ride this out through. Like now I think about it, I'm already tired thinking about being like wilding out to dope ass hip hop because they had like Wu-Tang, and there would be like these groups of people I rocked with, like Razzcast or something. And then it ended at 2 or 3. And so it's like, we don't want to leave yet. Let's go inside to the Coliseum part and peep out the unsers, right?
Yeah.
So we just go in there and you see like you see, because I wasn't really into like the trancey kind of music yet.
Yeah.
I've learned to appreciate like neo soul and like the way they've integrated electronic music with like hip hop beats, and it's like mad soothing.
Yeah.
So I've learned to appreciate that over the years. But back then it was just like lights and lasers and like the Candy Kids and the ravers.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I think that was a dude. I was like, yo, was that a dude? And someone was like, I'm pretty sure that was a dude, right? And they're just dressed all crazy, like the stilettos and like the people walking on stilts or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was just like this crazy world.
That's a wild scene.
Yeah, man.
That's a wild
And
scene.
I'm sitting there, I'm tired, right? It's like now 4 a.m. I'm like, yo, I don't even want to stand. So we're sitting down, and then like maybe like 4 rows in front of us, this girl just starts bouncing on her dude, and we're like, oh, yo, they're smashing. And I was like, I don't even want to be within this radius of that. It's unsanitary. So we left, right? But then I had friends, they got into, drugs and partying. So there's that world, right? And it's been around forever, but you're on the more hip hoppy side, right?
100%. Yeah.
So you're away.
I stay within my interest.
Okay, so there you go, right? So you end up going into an underground rap show. What was your first year that you walked in with a camera to this underground rap show, and where was it?
It was 2014 I think it was 2014 or 15.
Yes.
It was a Sesh Hollow Waterboy show in Brooklyn.
Okay.
At the time, I interned at a clothing brand called Mishka, and everyone there was going to the Sesh Hollow Waterboy show. And actually, Anthony met me there. We met up there. Cozy was supposed to come. I remember that. We were all at a car meet the night before, and we were all talking about going.
Yeah.
And then, since I left from my internship straight there, I had my camera on me already.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I had my backpack from school, and I had all my shit, all my school stuff, I had my camera stuff, and those underground shows are just huge mosh pit, kind of I was just trying to get to as close as I could
without getting all of your equipment broken.
Yeah, I didn't have much equipment, but it's the funny part is that while shooting, my backpack actually got kind of ripped open. My homework all fell out and shit.
Oh.
And I never picked any of that stuff back up. I was like, well, they're gone now.
Because it's just getting stomped on.
Yeah, it was
no
pointless.
Way.
It was completely pointless. But I got what I thought at the time were pretty good photos.
Yeah.
I look back on them and they're terrible.
Okay.
But I sent them to them and they were super pumped about them.
I mean, it's 2014.
Yeah. But I mean, they've always had really good media people with them. But either way, they were relatively cool photos. Chris Travis actually ended up using one of the images I took of him that night for the cover of his next mixtape, which was really cool.
Okay, that's dope.
And that's how I kind of formed a relationship with them. And yeah, that was really cool. And then after that, I was just like, all right, cool. I'm bringing my camera to every show.
Yeah,
because I wanted to keep in line with doing just documenting things that were within my interest. It was, for the most part, it's all really fucking cool. I'm into drifting and really cool shows and cool places, and I was just like, this is cool to be able to experience it and show it to people.
So you walk in 2014. How do you go within 5 years to being on these global festivals and working with some of the biggest names in that world? How did that happen? What would you attribute that to?
There's a lot of things. there's no success without luck. You know, I definitely think there was a lot of like right place, right time situations for me. I think right now trying to get like far in the documenting music industry is relatively difficult for people that are trying to start right now because of just the oversaturation. There's like a bottleneck at the entrance right now of like, because there's so many kids that like they can just pick up the formula like that because they could just see someone like a high tier photographer and just like study them, convince their parents to help them purchase like all that equipment, like, you know, just buy like a 1DX and like a whole Sigma Prime kit and like buy that photographer's presets and then just start going out there and
producing relatively solid imagery.
Really close. Like, you know, maybe just missing the soul or like a little bit of, you know, that artist that is in those photos. But yeah, getting relatively close and then offering to do is either relatively cheap or free.
Yes.
So there's like this huge bottleneck right now happening because it's just like it's such an exciting, interesting industry that, you know, it's very reachable for a lot of people. In my case, it was a little bit of a different time. It was still really like cool to do that, but there wasn't like, I wasn't going at gigs where my competition was trying to do it for free. You know, like
right. There was a different time.
Yeah, it's only been like a relatively short period of time since then, but
what you're describing, it's the same with cars, right? You got the kids that are looking at, there's kids 16 17-year-olds walking around with the Ronins and gimbals that are like as much as a guy's car at the event. Right, and they're down to make the name for themselves, establish some type of rapport or reputation. They're like, I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
And then you got the guys who are like, how am I supposed to make any money when you got somebody who'll do it for free? And that's it's a very dangerous kind of dynamic that exists because it's just saturated.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, there's still people that are just doing like great things and they're getting work because of like what they put out.
Yes.
Like, I know this kid William Sitton. I don't know, I forgot.
Okay.
He's really young. He was actually with on our team for Grid Life earlier this year.
Okay.
And everything he shoots, like we hired him to be on our team because like he puts out great work. He shoots everything handheld, one lens, one body, and like
one lens.
Yeah, one body.
I mean, what is it? A 24-70 or something?
18 to something.
Yeah, just one.
Yeah, and then shoots everything handheld on a GH4 or GH5, I think it was. And he's great. Like, he's so great. He knows what he's doing. So there's that. There's kids I know with like, you know, Ronins and A7Rs, and they're just still like,
and it's they're not producing.
They're missing the sauce, or they're missing like understanding of like what they're doing because like they're just focusing so much on the
what's
the
in the frame or something.
Just focusing a lot on the equipment and just like getting the smoothest shots, but like may not be like the best shots. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of just like people trying to figure out the fastest way to get to a certain level. So that's right now. Then it was just like, you know, everyone kind of just like worked in their own lane, and that's what I did. I kind of paved my own lane when it came into the music and automotive. They kind of like went really parallel to each other, like getting higher tier in the music world and getting higher tier in the automotive world were literally like neck and neck.
Yeah.
You know, to the point where like now I'm working for Rolls Royce and Post Malone, for example.
Yes.
I don't know. I just like I went at my own pace and I put myself out there to different people. I sent so many emails out in my career. I've had hundreds, maybe even thousands of unanswered emails.
Of course.
Of just spending the time to research who should I be contacting, who should I be working for, where are the excuses to maybe do a free work here and there to kind of like build a relationship, and then just like also getting my work to a certain level it's marketable, you know? Like yes. You have to. I never went into it with the intention of making marketable work, but then once I got to a point where like people were contacting me to do work for them for a price, I was like, okay, I have something going on here that I could offer. And it was just, I kind of just went at my own pace. It's comparatively to other people that are doing it now, really, really slow road. But I'm where I'm at now, and I'm glad even however long it took me.
You know what's fascinating to me is coming from the West Coast, Jersey, it's right next to New York. People got the whole Newark and Camden are ghetto, and you kind of have just these little tiny bits of Jersey, right? It's industrial and flying the EWR if you want to save some money instead of flying the JFK. So you have these odd pieces of information about Jersey. Mm-hmm. And I kind of saw that growing up. But as I've gotten more integrated into let's just say the automotive community, I started realizing that some of the best people I know came from this tiny area. I mean, Halcyon, Cozile, and you alone are just easy examples.
All within a 20-minute radius.
20-minute radius in Jersey, right? Whether burbs or ghetto, we're just talking about New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And you guys are working with, Cozile's out there, left Jersey, moved to LA, right in the heart of it all. I've been to his studio, see who he's working with, who you're working with. Anthony, I had that little tiny narration part that I did with him for Daytona Beach. Yeah. And next thing you know, he's like, yo, Big Mike, dude, I got to go to London because I got nominated. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And so I'm Google, because, I don't know. Yeah, so I'm Googling the acronym and realizing that there's obviously not just a space, but a fortified, legitimate, sanctioning body, if you will, that is giving out these nominations and then subsequently the awards. Mm-hmm. And, you guys are you do your own coloring, your own grading, you do your own tones, there's teams, there's social media and PR teams that have desks lined up that do the same thing that you do by yourself. Yeah. And you're out there.
But they do that for corporations and whatnot.
Fair enough, right? But I'm just
not many people that do what we do have a team behind them making all this stuff.
Sure.
And there's no value to the you.
I completely agree. Yeah. I just think it's amazing to see the end product. Mm-hmm. But I think one of the things that really needs to be focused on is regardless of the evolution of time, right? So now time moves so much faster because of the internet, right? Mm-hmm. Even just 5 years ago, which the internet was clearly already in existence, but it was still a different path, right? You could take a different path now. But like you said, whether you buy the best body, the best kits, the best lenses and whatever, there is a certain amount of people that are missing the soul of it. Yeah. Right? They're just trying to produce an end image. Yeah. But what about, you are, like you said, you stay within your interests. So you are rocking to the music while shooting it. 100%. You're not just immersed, in music that you can't stand, but, the artist, and you can see the image you need to take. You're totally in love with the music. Yeah. Or the car or cars that you're photographing. 100%. Right? So how would you say to anyone, right? Because you're relatively young. And that process has come to you by hard work and by dedication. And I think that there's a lot of people who, if you ask them, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I'm down to work hard, or I work hard now. But there's a difference between spending a lot of time doing something and working hard. They don't come hand in hand.
They don't.
Right? So for somebody who's like, yo, I'm a car guy. I like photography. I got X, Y, and Z already. How do I do that? Because I want to do that. I want to do what he does. I want to start or do these import shows maybe, or a stunt show or a race or whatever. And I want to move my way up to filming these luxury, vehicles in these crazy locations. I want to do that. What would you tell somebody of any age who says, I want to do that? Tell me how.
I don't know. It's like that really cliche statement. If I told you how to do this, you would never do it type thing. Needless to say, I guess it's not even obvious because you only see the end result of everything. But I had to fail a lot to be where I'm at. I hit rock bottom several times within my first couple of years of doing this, and I hit very flat periods in my career, and I hit really disencouraging moments where I was just damn, I don't think this is gonna work out. I don't think. I still get those every now and again. I fall into those ruts of just feeling I don't think this is gonna go on much longer.
Freelance life.
Yeah, so it's a big sacrifice. It's a huge double-edged sword, and like I said, if most people knew everything that was involved with it, I don't think they would, because you have to there's a lot of things that you miss out on.
Like what, Sebastian? Like what?
Like,
somebody's gonna listen to what you just said and be like, I don't get it.
I mean, in the beginning, you're gonna miss out on just like doing what your peers are doing, which is like, you know, I guess like I missed out on like life in my early 20s because I was broke. I went flat broke trying to do this because I spent so much time invested in just like working on figuring out how to use a camera in general.
Sure.
You know, like all that time being spent there, all the time spent going to just different automotive things, and all the time spent going to different music things, and just spending time out with my friends, and just so much time in general that I had no idea what I was even like trying to do. I just knew I wanted to do something.
Yeah.
And I don't know, getting from, I guess it's so weird. You have to really, so I guess if I was to give advice, you have to really actually like have a love for what you're spending your time with.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is. You have like if you want to start shooting, let's say motorsports and like high tier artists, but you're really into trees and flowers, then like, what are you doing? Be honest with yourself. If you're trying to do something because it looks cool,
yeah,
but you really love like something else.
Yeah, how long can you last shooting something you're not even that interested in?
Well, I mean, a lot of people do it for a long time because like they feel like that's what they're supposed to be doing.
Okay. And I think
before stepping into anything, it takes like a lot of just being really honest with yourself, you know, and that goes with anything, like with the clothes that you put on your body in the morning, or like the stuff that you do to your car, or the people you keep around you, or what you dedicate your life to. You have to like really be honest with yourself if that's what you like. For all we know, we only get like one chance at this whole life thing, and like why spend so much of it like on things that actually don't do anything for you?
That don't do anything for you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I think it's hard sometimes, right? Because you're filled with so many memes and inspirational quotes and people reposting stuff that there's some very deep sentences or statements that could resonate for somebody, and it gets lost in the midst of all that.
100%.
You know, cliches are called cliches for a reason, but some of the oldest, most generic, quote unquote cliches are the most powerful ones if you actually apply them, right?
Yeah, or if you learn them like the hard way. The whole grass is greener thing.
Yes.
So true, and like, you know, you'll only find that out in like those real situations.
So you said more recently, for example, right? You decided to make changes in your life, right? Mm-hmm. You've been changing the way you eat, changing how much water you consume, and all of these types of things, right? Was there a specific occurrence that prompted those changes?
Yeah, if I'm gonna be honest, like earlier this year, I was in a relationship for like 3 years, and she left me like around May or so. And
I remember her, and I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that kind of prompted me to repurpose my time, and kind of just like, I think I spent like a couple days like in the whole, like literally doing next to nothing, like locked in that room upstairs. And I was like, I got up one day and I was like, I gotta do something. So
Sebastian.
Yeah.
Depressed. You were depressed.
Yeah.
Right? So you locked yourself away.
Yeah.
But then you had an awakening moment, and you were like, dude, turn the light on.
Yeah.
And get out of this room. Okay?
Well, that's the thing. I was just like, I've got to do something. Like, that was such a big part of my life, and I felt like it was really unfair to how important that whole situation was to my life, to just like not do anything.
Yes.
If that makes sense. To just like sit in bed and just like
be sad.
Yeah, be upset about it.
Yeah.
Feel sorry for myself. So I don't know, it prompted me to kind of just like, all right, I gotta grab my life and kind of like pick it back up, like, and then that making those steps kind of just like all really helped just I guess put me in a sharper place.
Well, see, the thing about it is, you and I have always ended up having a good relationship from day one, even if it was, the actual literal interaction was kind of rare, but then it turned into more frequent. But I mean, to tie into this, I remember I hadn't seen you in a while, and I see you in Puerto Rico, right? So I get there. I think I got there before you. I'm in the house, right? And you walk in, or vice versa, or whatever it was. And I just specifically remember being like, hey, Sebastian, man, like, you look good. Did you, lose weight? And you were just like, yeah, man, I've been, working on that. And I could see it, right? I mean, you've never been the type for me to come over and want to hug you because you looked sad. Mm-hmm. I've wanted to just hug you because you're like my little brother.
Yeah.
But I remember, it's just for whatever moment. I didn't catch it online, but I'm in, of all places, we're in San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And I look over at you across this kitchen, and I'm like, wow, dude, Sebastian looks good. Like, he's, like you looked happy and you were smiling, and you always are, but something caught in. It wasn't just losing 20 pounds. It was something else.
Yeah.
And now that you're telling me what happened and all that, the timeline is sort of working itself out in my head, and I'm able to realize kind of what all led up to that point. But dude, there's a lot of people. There's a perpetual kind of discontent and sadness that has like this fog that's sitting over an entire generation of people. Mm-hmm. And what would you, like, there's people listening right now, man, they're like, dude, I feel like that all the time, man. How did you get up?
I don't know. It's not like getting up makes it all go away. You know what I mean? You still have to be really intimate with your feelings, and I guess, like, not be afraid to feel them. And I think that's a big problem. Like, a lot of people like to ignore their feelings.
Yeah.
And like, especially as a male, it's just like kind of like
society says you can't cry, you can't do this and that.
I wouldn't say that specifically, but it's just like you just feel like you have to quote unquote man up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's true to an extent. I mean, that's the picking yourself up, but like the actual being intimate with your feelings, it's just like it's really important. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, I don't get sad about it
of course
anymore, because I'd be lying, because the other day I was just a fucking wreck about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like...
But you're a human being experiencing your emotions.
Yeah. So, I don't know, it's hard for me to give advice about it if I'm just, like, it's something I still deal with, but I think it's just, like, not letting it stop you in your tracks. Or if it does stop you in your tracks, like, use that time to be really, like, I don't know, honest with yourself, and use that time to like pick the pieces of yourself back up.
Dude, the range of emotions exists for a reason.
Yeah.
Anger, sadness, there's nothing wrong with it. You're supposed to feel that.
That's the one thing that we have, like, this really weird idea of depression, that like you're not supposed to feel it. You're supposed to take a Xanax and just like
feel it, but you can't. But that's where you don't allow yourself to marinate it till it kills you, right? You can feel it, let it hurt you, cry and yell, and work out of it.
Yeah.
Right? Work out of it.
So, I mean, everyone experiences it in different extremities. Like, I'm diagnosed with clinical anxiety and depression.
Okay.
Like, on the medical level. But I don't take anything for it. I never have. Every time I visit...
They want to give you these pharmaceuticals, you're like, no.
Yeah, it's just not for it. Like, I've reached rock bottom so many times. I've felt what it feels like. I've felt, like, the worst emotions. I've dealt with, like, everything from really upsetting breakups to losing close friends.
Yes.
And like seeing, being at open caskets, the whole nine. And I felt everything, so I was just like, why do I need something to like not
to take away those feelings? Yeah,
they're really important, because like you come out of them just a different person. They mold you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. So we've touched on the growth of yourself as a professional, ranging from your photography to automotive. So let's talk about that. The growth from being a Honda guy on the forums, right? How did you evolve into the types of vehicles that you are involved with now? So, like, let's talk about that, right? So, Honda Tech, right? NWP and all the different forums, right? Okay.
Such a good time.
It was, dude. It was a
so
great time. It was like the golden era, right?
Everyone's so anonymous. It's just like you could be anyone.
Yeah.
Like, I was a 16-year-old kid, and like everyone else I was interacting with was between like 22 and 36.
Yeah.
But like we were all the same, like into the same shit. So
yes.
It didn't matter.
So how do you feel like as a kid in Jersey? How did it end up being Hondas? How did you find yourself doing that?
Hondas were always huge out here. Like, you ever heard about like IVP and like 440 and like Thai Boogie?
Yeah.
Okay, like Hondas were always the biggest thing out here. In my neighborhood growing up, there was a cul-de-sac at the end, at the bottom of the hill. Like it was a hill that like led to a brook, but like right before the brook there was a cul-de-sac.
Okay.
And there was a dude Flip that lived at the like down by the cul-de-sac, and he used to like have his own Hondas, like always had like bubbles, and he had one that was like a GSR swapped one. He had a single cam turboed one, just like random Hondas, and then there'd always be Hondas down there because he would do street tunes, right outside the neighborhood, which is funny because there's, like I think a couple years into him doing that, they put speed tables throughout the entire
because of him.
The whole neighborhood is like this circle that circles back to like different condominiums, and now there's speed tables throughout it because he was like street tuning cars out there. So there was always really cool Hondas in my neighborhood, in my town. Like there was this other dude, Tony. I must have been like 9 years old, and I remember this dude had a turbo GSR, black Integra, and I thought it was the coolest shit ever. I mean, it really was. It was so fucking cool.
Put a year on this.
If I was 9 years old,
So you acutely remember this at 9 years old?
Yeah, like between like 9 and like, then I was 12 when Fast and the Furious came out, and that escalated that whole shit that was going on in my neighborhood.
Sure,
it escalated it to another, like it went from like a car showing up every now and again at the cul-de-sac to there always being like 5 like a Prelude and then a hatch and an EK and a bubble, like all chilling down there. And at the time, you know, like I remember there being like this orange bubble, like a blue Prelude, and like everyone was like really like creative and experimental with their cars.
Yeah.
Like I remember someone down the street like later, a couple years later, had an IS300, a blue one.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool. And like maybe like a year or two later, it was turboed.
Yeah.
Like, everyone had the bug in that area. So I guess when it came down to my first car, I was like, getting a Honda.
It was just there.
There was no other option.
So you went online. You're reading stuff. You're learning stuff. You're looking at people's build threads and all kind of cool stuff, right? Yeah. So what was your first car?
I had a red Camellia Pearl EG Coupe or EJ1.
Yeah.
It was a piece of shit. Such a piece of shit. Like I was so excited about buying it that I was just like, I don't care what's wrong with it. I'll buy it. And it was just like the quarter was literally just Bondo. That was like chipping off too.
Yeah.
The front bumper was black. The roof was black. It was just a heap of shit.
So it had been in multiple accidents.
Yeah, it was.
How did you find that one?
On B20 VTech.
Yeah, I remember
on the
B20
marketplace.
VTech. Yeah. Okay, so you bought it. What? He was local to you or something?
He was up by like where Aunt used to live, so he was like 25 minutes from
me.
And he brought it to my neighborhood, and I didn't even know how to drive stick at the time.
Yeah.
I learned how to drive stick in that car.
Yeah.
So I kind of just like saw it, and it was like I walked around it, and I was like, all right, I'll let you know. And then like he went home, and then I like talked to my parents. I was like, I really wanted it. They're like, you really wanted such a piece of shit? And I was like, yeah, but like I got the money for it. Like I should do.
Was it cheap?
It was $2,200. Which at the time like was like me selling almost all my sneakers to get it.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. Like I sold like a lot of sneakers to put that money aside, and yeah, I bought it, and
did it run?
It ran.
Okay.
It ran. It ran fine actually. It was single cam VTEC. So dumb. It was such a dumb car. It was such a piece of shit, and I remember putting Tane coils on it because I was just like, I gotta put Tanes on it.
Yeah.
And I felt like that made it such a better car. And
so did you try to drift it, or were you trying to street race it, or what were you doing?
I knew that doing stuff that I wanted to, stuff that I saw like an NWP example. I knew all that was out of my like financial reach.
Okay.
Getting $2,200 at the time was like very difficult.
Sure.
So I only ever did like really small things. I did Tane coils. I had rotas on there, an exhaust, an intake, header, like an OBX header.
Yeah.
And never did any of the body work the car needed, and just it was a heap of shit.
So what year is this? Did you get this car?
09.
Okay.
09 or 2010.
So about
all the years are like mashed potatoes in my head.
Yeah, it kind of does.
They all
that.
merge.
So about 10 years ago, you buy this. Yeah. How long did you rock that?
I think it was like 8 months.
Did you sell it?
I ended up trading with cash on top for something I really, really wanted when I was searching for my first car, which is a 4-door DB1 Integra. Okay.
Nicely done. Somebody traded for that car?
I gave cash on top. I think I gave like $400 on top. And it was a clean ass Integra.
What is wrong with that person?
I think he just didn't like the fact that it was a 4-door Integra. And he wanted a Civic Coupe.
Yeah.
And I was like, say less. And that car was the first one I really like went in on.
All right, what did you do to it?
I mean, it had a B20 in it, B16 trans.
Yeah.
I did Coney adjustables with ground control coils.
Yep, that was the suspension setup.
Yeah, that was like
Coney yellows and ground control. That was the setup.
Yeah. College boys, so did Rhoda D2s that were like powder coated. No. They were like purple with like a light blue lip.
Oh,
they looked hard. And I had pink raised lug nuts. The lug nuts cost almost as much as the wheel.
What color was the car?
It was like I forgot the actual color code of it, but it was like their darker gray that they had.
Okay, so you had
I'll show it to you later.
You had a dark gray DB, right? Pink lug nuts, blue lip with like what?
Purple faces.
Purple faces. Okay, so
it looked good. Watch, when I show you the picture, you're gonna be like, all right. And you gotta remember, it's 2010. So.
All right. So the DB, you are dipping the DB, right? Yeah. So I remember about 5 years ago when I first met you, we were at I think it was TE Philly or something. Maybe it was the second Philly. I don't even remember if we talked the first one. I really honestly don't remember. But I remember at some point you were like, yo, I followed you as a kid, which to me you were a young but grown man. So to hear you refer to yourself as a kid, it kind of gave me a tripped out perspective. But you're like, yo, I've known who you are, and now we're here together at this event. How did that happen? Where did you hear about whatever the hell I was doing, or was it NWP or something?
No, since I was 10 or 11, I was subscribed to Super Street and Honda Tuning, so I'd get those.
Okay.
Every month since I was like 10 till I think I ended once the internet popped off. I started getting magazines. Sure. But so I remember I somewhere in my parents' house I have the Honda Tuning with you in the front.
On the front, like the one where I'm sitting on the car?
Yeah.
2012.
Yeah.
So that's your first memory?
I think I'd seen your name before because you've written articles.
Yeah.
So I definitely had seen your name before, and I definitely seen the Prelude, maybe like an event coverage.
Okay.
But then like I remember your cover, and then I think that's when I just realized like, okay, he's like a very invested enthusiast to the point where like, he's writing some articles, he had some photo credits, and then you even have a cover shoot of your own car. Yeah. So I guess that's when I realized like, there was like only few people that I knew or had like an image in my head that they were like I wouldn't say gatekeepers, but like the higher tier enthusiasts of the West Coast. Okay. I think like the only ones I could think off the top of my head are like you, RJ, and like I remember Phase 2 Mikey, like his EG, like when he like brought like stance to
the red one.
Yes.
Okay.
When that was like a breakthrough stance car in the Honda community. If you could, that's the only way I can categorize it.
Yeah, there are people who see it that way. Yeah, there are definitely people who see it that way. So I get exactly what you're saying. But if you're talking about a red EG, you're talking about a guy named Arnell. Okay. So
that wasn't.
If it was a red EG, you're talking about a guy named Arnell. Okay, right. The red DC is probably what you're referring to.
Oh yes.
But the red EG.
No, but I'm thinking about the red EG. It had like the teardrop mirrors.
So the red EG that was on, which wheels do you remember seeing?
They were polished. I remember that much.
Like RS's maybe?
It was RS's. Okay. There was a phase where it was on RS.
That's Arnell. His name's Arnell. Yeah.
I swore that was Mikey.
Arnell's not I haven't seen or heard of him in a while, but that car definitely was like, people were like, I'm sorry, what is this? 15 by 9s? Like with whatever the heck the offset was. Yeah. And I remember looking at it like, yo, like your quarter panel is about to touch your wheel, bro, right?
Yeah.
And it just blew. Well, I mean, fresh red paint and polished wheels, it popped, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the general vicinity of time. My name, a couple other guys. Those are the ones that you're like, okay, those are like the guys.
Yeah.
Right? And then, of course, forums, it makes everyone kind of like be in one place and people buying and selling and build threads. It was a really cool time, right?
It was cool.
And so that's what the cover was 2012. So, you know, you were in it like 2010, 11, 12. And then I first met you, what was that, Philly? 2015.
15,
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you blink your eyes and time passes and now we're, hugging it out, right? And that's just hugging it out, but then it turned into, us talking to each other and kind of having an appreciation for each other as adults, Mm-hmm. But where did it go from Hondas to drifting? I mean, you're photographing drifting, but how did you end up getting into? Well, is that what it was?
Well, I always thought drifting was really cool.
Yeah.
Then I started photographing it, and I had the bug for it. But I always told myself I was never gonna do it until it was financially viable. Because it's just like. It's like it's a big expense and in order for you to do it fully, you have to like be really financially and emotionally invested into it. So I just always admired it from afar, like a lot of things. I admire high fashion from afar. It's not something that's within my financial, capabilities.
Yeah.
But I admire it from afar, like just a lot of things, art, high fashion, and then for a while I was drifting. I wanted to get out of Hondas after I got a bug to get out of Hondas while I had the Integra.
Okay.
I really didn't like the community. It started getting really weird. The more I was like the deeper into it.
Yes.
So I ended up getting rid of it for really cheap. I think I sold it for like $2,300.
Okay.
And I told the dude I would sell it to him for that cheap, only if I took the system out of it. And then I remember driving it to him and being like, "Fuck, the system's still in the car." So
you just left it?
I left it. So I sold it for $2,300. And then I put together some other money, and I got a Mazda Speed Protege.
I remember that.
Found on Craigslist. Such a heap of shit. It just looked cool. And like it had K-Sport coils. It had 5 Ziegen FNs on it. It had a safety 21 cage in it. Or no, an auto power cage, sorry.
Did you say 5 Ziegen FN 01Rs?
Yeah.
What, bronze ones?
White ones.
White ones.
Yeah.
When I
saw that, I was just like, wow, I'm buying this from a true intellectual. It can't be wrong. There can't be anything wrong. What I didn't know is that he had bought it from the original person who built that car. So, I thought I was purchasing it from the source, from someone who had that level of intelligence to do that. So I was like, yeah, this car's gonna be fine. And then I remember seeing it in the dude's garage. I just barely any questions, just passed him the money. Drove it out of there, and then I remember at the first gas station it started bogging and had a vacuum leak. It wasn't
that same day.
Same day, it stopped building. Building boost. And it was 3 hours away. I had to just I finished the drive with the car on lit mode, and I was like, shit.
You're totally bummed, right? You
so
haven't
bummed.
even made.
And on top of that, I was at the time it was all my money, so I was like, fuck, I can't even do anything.
Yeah.
I remember finding out that turbo seals were messed or fucked up, so I had to get a new turbo. There was random vacuum leaks everywhere. Thankfully, having friends in the drift community, I ended up because the stock turbo in that car is a T25.
Okay,
it's the same thing that comes in an S15 an S15 SR.
Yes,
except that it's a journal bearing. Well, the OEM one, I forgot what it was. I think. Either way, I got a journal bearing T25 from someone in the drift
who took it out of their OEM setup.
They just had it in their garage.
Yeah. So they just gave it to you?
No, I think it was $100.
Okay.
I think. And then put that in, assessed the vacuum leaks, and then it just ended up being a whirlwind of a million other problems. That car, I had it for 6 months, and it ran, if I was to add up, maybe 17 days.
I hear you. Could you please repeat what you said?
All right, Siri, you're going to have to relax. So that car was just a huge problem. What I ended up doing with that car was that I took some really good photos of it and I put it up on V20 VTEC for trade for a stock Honda, any stock Honda, and I ended up getting a stock single cam EK hatch.
Somebody traded you a stock EK for your Mazda 3.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, because value-wise, it still had, it was still...
It had wheels, it had a cage.
No, it wasn't a Mazda 3, it was a Mazda Speed Protege.
Oh, the Mazda Speed Protege.
Yeah.
All right.
So it was pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
And it had work done that was worth something. Like I had a turbo manifold and like intercooler piping. I had a front mount, K-Sport coils, the 5 Zegan still on it.
Yep.
Fully caged. So it had some value. It had an AMY band. So it had at least things that held value.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got a stock EK out of it. And then that was the first car that was like my first full build. Like full build.
Okay, what year is this?
2012.
Okay. So you get this EK, that was your first build, right?
Full, I'd say, yeah. Because at that point, all the other cars were just like bolt-ons. I mean, put the B20 in the Integra. But even that's like relatively a bolt-on situation.
So were you dipping this to first class fitment?
The Civic?
Yeah, the EK.
The EK got in first class fitment 2014 or 15.
It did?
Yeah, it was in the show.
Okay, what wheels did you have on there?
Buddy Club P1s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice, dude. Hey, look, I'm glad you're on real wheels.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Buddy Club P1s, hey.
I had a really bad track record of fake wheels.
Okay. Hey, you grew up. So, all right. So first class fitment, 14.
Yeah.
Right? And then how long did you have that EK?
I had that car for years. I had that car for a really long time.
So when did you get rid of it?
20... Wait. Wow. I gotta think this through. It must have been in first class. Yeah, no, wait. So it wasn't... Yeah, okay. It wasn't first class 2015, and then shortly after that is when I got rid of it. What ended up happening that year was that, yet again, another breakup that hit me really hard.
Okay.
And that girl I was with hated how much time I spent like on the car and everything. So I kind of like, once the relationship ended up kind of like growing like this kind of like blaming hatred.
Oh, like an aversion to the car.
To myself and like the thing that I was so attached to.
Uh-huh.
So I think I did H2O, then first class, and then locked myself in the garage and took the whole car apart completely. And there was already people that wanted everything that was on the car. I sold everything for dumb cheap.
Oh, you parted it all out.
Parted it all out and sold the shell to actually Javier Ortega.
Yep.
Which he let it sit for years and then just like sold it to somebody who ended up putting a K-swap in and wrapping it around a tree right after.
Okay.
So that car, I was so invested in it and I didn't want anyone to own it. Like, I did everything that like I've ever wanted to do to a car, like shave bay. Like I learned how to shave a bay on it, learned how to do an engine swap on that car, like a full one, like with a wire tuck and everything, like brake tuck. Had like my favorite steering wheel on that car. I had a suede dash because I always really wanted that. I had Takata harnesses because I always thought they were the coolest things ever.
Yeah.
Buddy Club wheels because I just thought they were the coolest things ever. Like all those things that just made me really happy, that like invested me in Hondas. And like I always admire Euros from afar, so I, instead of painting it Phoenix yellow, I painted it Imola yellow from the GTI. It had like a really cool little gold flake in it, and just like little things like that. I custom made the headlights, like just so many little things. I was like, I'm never selling this car. So when it came down to the point where I kind of like grew a weird hatred towards it, I parted it out.
And then some guy wraps it around a tree.
His girlfriend did. He built, as far as like the story that I know, is like the dude who bought it from Javier kind of just like always just built Hondas here and there, and then put a stock K series in it for his girlfriend to whip around, and then after a meet, she just like left there and wrapped it around a tree or a pole or something like that. She just drove.
So the car's gone.
Car's gone.
All
Yeah,
right.
I saw a picture of it, and like the passenger frame rail was through the firewall, and I just like,
What?
it hurt me so much because I remember hours of just like sanding that whole area just to get to do the bay, and like to most people, like doing a build like that isn't that complicated or anything. But at the time, like I was still in college, and it was all my money, it was all my extra time. It cost me a whole relationship, which I'm glad it did, because like if in retrospect, like that was not a relationship I should have been in.
Okay.
But yeah, it was just like it was a lot. It was a
Okay,
lot at
but
the time.
dude, so you dream car, learned everything. The car is gone. Sell it to one person, they go to another. Girlfriend wraps around a tree, right?
Yeah.
What replaced it?
Nothing replaced it. I had a RAV4 at the time, which is how I got around.
Yep.
I didn't want to drive the Civic all the time. So I kind of like, I was more of like, let me not have a car that I invest myself into for a little while.
Yeah.
Which was really hard. So all my friends, everyone I know is car people.
Yeah.
And I kind of just like spent time just like having quote unquote fun and just like doing stuff. And,
Living
like,
life.
Yeah, just doing stuff and like being out and like just like not having the crutch of like I need to spend this money on my car or I need to spend this time on my car hold me at all. So I did that for a while. I remember a couple months into it, I ended up picking up a Ruckus, and I built a Ruckus, which was really fun, and I ended up taking that to H2O one year. So it was like a whole year off of like doing car stuff, and then I always had the bug, and then I had the bug hard, and I was just like, I want an IS300.
Yeah.
Like I was like I want a car that could street and drift. So I ended up putting some money aside, and I picked up an IS300 in 2016.
Is that the one that's outside?
No, the one I picked up, it got hit and ran on the highway.
Oh, I remember the post about that.
Yeah, and the trunk was in the backseat. The car wasn't savable at all. So
And the person was gone. Never found him.
yeah, never found them. And then it was mainly my fault for like not the accident wasn't my fault, but the whole how shitty it was my fault because I had liability insurance at the time.
Okay, so you had to take a financial loss.
I had to take a financial loss. So I kind of just didn't want it to stop my momentum. So I grabbed money and it was like maybe like a month later bought another IS and just I didn't waste any time. I swapped all my parts over to this chassis and
The one you have now.
yeah, took it to Mako.
Well, you're drifting.
But fresh, yeah.
Just
I was
white,
I was
fresh white.
Yeah, I was like, what's the whitest color that has nothing in it? It's the Super White. It's Toyota Super White too.
So are Mako paint jobs as bad as people say they are?
No,
They're not that
you
bad.
get what you pay for.
So how much was it?
$900.
And it was like, was it better than some other people's cars who paid more than that?
Yeah, I remember a car that I spent like the first paint job with the Civic. I spent $2,200 on it. It was not
That good.
It wasn't good at all.
And this $900 Mako one was not bad.
It was not bad.
Did you do any prep job to it yourself?
Nah.
So
I did, yeah, well, some of the fiberglass parts I did some prep on it, but
So you just roll up and you're like, yo, whitest white that has no...
no, I did the research and I was like Toyota Super White too,
Okay.
and
So did they do any prep to the body or did they just paint it?
I don't know. I'll find out if I ever take this single stage of paint off of it.
So, okay, YIS, you picked Aero, you have Aero,
Yeah.
you've been drifting it, and then, as we talked about earlier, it's now messed up because you hydroplaned and slammed into the guardrail.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a minor setback. Like it'll be off ready like in less than 2 weeks.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's next? Just practice drifting.
Yeah. Next drift event is not till November 16th.
So is it for fun, or are you trying to like see if you can get good enough to do something professional with it, pro-am?
It's just for fun.
It's just for fun.
Yeah.
Okay, good outlet, good times, good
Something
people.
I've always really enjoyed.
Okay. So that's that's your personal automotive setup. That's where we are present day. What about musically, right? What else are you working on? What's the next musical gig for you?
This weekend is Rolling Loud in New York, which is the first time that they do the festival in New York City.
Where are they going to do that?
City Field.
And how many people are expected?
They sold out already. It's 40,000.
They sold out.
Yeah.
40,000 people, New York, City Field. Who are the artists that are going to be there?
Like headliners, it's like
Sure.
Travis Scott, A$AP Rocky, Wu-Tang Clan, DMX, everyone you could think of.
Everyone you could think.
Lil Uzi, Playboi Carti.
And do you know, okay, out of the people that you just mentioned, who of these people do you know on a personal level?
None of them.
So even with all the Rolling Loud stuff you've done, you haven't ended up developing any type of rapport?
A$AP Rocky held the door for me once in the bathroom. That
Okay.
was nice of him. Another time in Minneapolis, he gave me like these $100 bills that have A$AP Yams' face on them. That I have them hung up in my living room over there.
But you're not really in a position to be able to converse with them?
Not that, I mean, in this industry, everyone's kind of like passing by each other. And,
Yeah.
You know, like, you might have like a short conversation with someone, but like, you know, it's such a like hyper intensive environment.
Yeah.
Everyone's running into hundreds of people, and like, you might even recognize people here and there. Like, I'm sure Post Malone doesn't even know me from a first name basis. We met in like 2015, and I work with his team a lot, and like I see him a lot, and kind of we acknowledge each other, but like, you know, I don't have like a personal rapport.
Sure.
With him.
So yeah, so you know, you're not gonna like snap each other and be like, let's go watch Gemini Man together.
Yeah, no. Exactly.
Okay.
Like one of the only artists that I really have like a good personal rapport with is actually Marshmello, which is really interesting because like I don't like EDM at all, but the only reason why I worked with him is because he doesn't like EDM at all. It's so interesting.
What?
Yeah, it's so interesting.
He's a world famous EDM DJ.
But on the tour bus, we listen to the same music. It's so fucking cool.
Interesting, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so the majority of the world has no idea what Marshmello looks like. But
You can Google it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But is he rocking that anywhere other than the stage?
What do you mean? Yeah, I mean, like, wherever... Like, if he got off stage...
He takes it off?
No, like, not until like, he's in his dress.
Yeah, the crowd doesn't know.
No.
Sure.
Because, like, I guess, contractually, he has to keep up the whole, like, mystery, but, like, even though you can Google who he is, like, he has to upkeep that whole mystery factor. But, like, I remember after a show in Osaka, we went off from stage to, like, a go-karting track that they had right on the premise. And, like, he kept the helmet on the whole time.
In Osaka?
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, like, everyone at the go-kart track was going crazy for him. But, like, he kept it on the whole time.
So you guys kick it on the bus, listening to the same type of music. No, neither of you are oonsing it up.
Nah, yeah. Not at all. he has an appreciation for it, obviously.
Sure.
And, like, it's his thing, and he likes making all that music. But it's not what he's gonna, you know... I don't know how many people like sit around with their friends and oons. That's such a weird like how are you gonna sit in the living room and just like oons? Or like on a car ride and just like you're gonna crash.
Yeah, man. Oh, dude, like remember that phase of time where dubstep was the thing?
Oh, dude, yeah, I fell for it for like
a lot of people did. Dude, Sebastian, I remember when every car video for like a 6-month period of time was all edited to dubstep. And I remember the first time I heard dubstep, I wanted to like pick up kittens and throw them across the room and like punch children. Yeah. And I was all stressed out trying to climb the wall. And I was like, somebody turn this shit off, man. On a side note to everyone listening, I did not ever actually punch a child or throw a kitten. I just want that to be very clear. But dude, dubstep is like one of the most stressful music styles to ever be created.
It really is.
And then I watched the music videos where guys are like cutting to each like track change, and I was like, I'm about to have an epileptic seizure watching this music video or this car video.
I felt like that, like covering those couple shows that I did for Marshmello. There's like so many lasers and so many lights.
Yeah, it's like overstimuli, right?
Yeah, and I'm just like, how the fuck are there so many people enjoying this right now? I'm just about to have an anxiety attack.
Do you think it's a lot of people on drugs?
Not in Japan.
Not in Japan.
I don't. I think they're pretty clean now.
Interesting, but they're still...
They didn't seem drugged out. Like,
but they are oonsing it to the max.
Yeah, it's a shit that they don't understand. It's so sick. But then I remember myself, too, because like, I remember one of the first underground shows after Such Hot Water that I shot was for Keith Ape, and he's a Korean hip-hop artist, and like, he mixes English in there somehow, but like, I was so into his music, and like, I could barely understand him.
I see.
So I can understand like why it's like...
Dude, Korean stars, like K-pop stars are
you know what's crazy about like BTS and whatnot? Like they have such a huge American audience. It's insane. Like they sell out like 90,000 person venues
in America.
Of kids. Like I remember like my ex-girlfriend, one of her nieces, like she's obsessed with BTS.
Oh, she's what they call a Koreaboo.
Is that a thing?
That's a thing. So I found out recently that that's not just That's a real word now.
Interesting.
Right? So it's people who are totally into K-pop and Korean culture and all that, the look,
Yeah.
right? But they're not Korean.
Okay, yeah, so
It's
that's
a Korea boo.
this whole country. Like my buddy Zach, he's like really into that shit too. He went to a big K-pop show recently.
So is he also into anime and Japanese stuff?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I think they all go hand in hand. But yeah, I know people that are just like, quote unquote, just regular people that, you know, K-pop is their thing also. It's interesting.
That's fascinating to me.
But I could definitely see like for example, like seeing like people in Japan go crazy for music that they don't understand. Like I could see just where the connection lies.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
No, it's fascinating.
It's really interesting. I think maybe the mystery factor also adds like a different level of interest. You know what I mean? Like of not knowing what it is.
Well, yeah, that and then
like
just...
I know people that like I'm really into like Latin hip hop music, and like my buddy Kevin, who does not know a lick of Spanish, that's what he blasts. You know Fat Man Kev with the R31 from Japanese classics?
Right, you're talking about he loves reggaeton.
He loves reggaeton.
And he doesn't know what they're saying.
He's blasting this shit all the time.
I do know Kev, yeah.
Yeah.
And he has no idea.
No.
But it's just what the beat
We
and the
listen to
sound.
the same playlist.
I guess
And he loves it.
conceptually that's no different.
It's no different.
Like I have no idea what this means, the cultural context. I just like the way it sounds and I'm gonna rock with it. But I mean, you know what, dude, if you really think about it, that's not very much different than people who are in the cars. They don't understand the mechanics, they don't understand the culture, the racing history, the lineage. They're like, I don't know anything about this shit. I just love it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
So hey, you know, I think that people like us who are a little bit more self-aware and we want to study some things and really immerse ourselves in it, that type of thing is a little bit harder to really empathize with, because you're like, well, if you're going to listen to it, I'm going to want to understand what they're saying. Right?
Yeah,
Or I'm going to want to like learn how this car works.
To an extent. But like you can only, you know, like you have to pick and choose your battles. Like you can only be into so many things.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of people, like myself, you know, there's a lot of things, the core things that they're into, but there's a lot of things that they admire from afar.
Yeah.
Because like imagine a life of being fully invested into so many different things. You know, like you're only one person.
Yeah,
You can only deter your attention so many ways, and you also have to
pick and choose.
Like, yeah, you have to keep also in line with like important things of life. Like you can't like be into a million things and then forget you have a family. You know?
Right. Which, dude, time management is crucial, right?
Yeah.
So, given the type of profession you're in, where you're gonna spend hundreds of hours in front of a monitor, right? Whether it be designing something or editing, how do you balance that out with health, friends, family, and work?
I mean, for a couple of years, I was really bad at it. You know, and it was one of the contributing factors that cost my relationship.
Okay.
So I guess now it's kind of just like not making excuses for things, and like, you know, if I have a lot of work to do in one day, I still have to exercise. I still have to I'll wake up earlier and go on a run first thing in the morning, and kind of just like, I don't know, just not make excuses and like get shit done. That's
Hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Make a schedule.
I don't.
You don't make a schedule. Well, getting up early to go on a run is part of a schedule. It's part of setting the tone for the day.
I'll make like a loose schedule.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll know that like to accomplish everything I have to accomplish, I have to be up at a certain time.
Yeah.
But I'm just not good at time management in general, though. I'm definitely not the best person.
But that's obviously something to work on.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I actively work on it, but like some, you know, shit piles up. I miss a flight here and there.
I see. Okay.
I think I was definitely way worse at it when I was like in college. That was really, really bad. Like I would like run into the classroom with my luggage because I would just come straight from the airport, like, and just be like, "So sorry, Denise." Just
to your teacher?
Yeah, and just like sit down and just be quiet.
And you'd run into the class late.
Yeah. Like I'd already be an hour late, and I'd be with my luggage, and like.
No,
I just like run to the back of the classroom.
If I was a teacher, I'd be like, dude, get out and come back later.
And she was just like always giving me pep talks after class.
About what? Like life and time management, don't burn yourself out. And...
Yeah. She just like always kind of like really cared to be like, are you okay? like,
okay, so like I know this is kind of like a vain question, but was she hot?
No.
That's unfortunate.
She was cool. Like she's
Cool.
like she's like an older like a mentor type.
That's
thing.
what matters the most.
Yeah,
she was cool.
Yeah.
But she cool though. All right. Okay, so Sebastian, man. I mean, obviously, right? From the music alone, we could talk for hours. Cars, we could talk for hours. It's really great. I think what's important is that there are people who are totally into cars, man. They're into photography. They're into music. All of the above, one of the above, and they're. If you're not self-aware, if you're not grounded in a certain way, if you haven't gotten to that point, it's all kind of this swirling, swarming kind of like emotions and thoughts and passions and what do I do with my life and how do I do it and where do I do it and who do I talk to. But one of the points that you brought up earlier was you said you probably have thousands of unanswered emails. And those are emails that you spent time thinking of a person. You weren't just sending out mass emails. You're picking people that you believe are important to you and for you for that career angle. And if you were to give up after the first or the second or the 10th try, you wouldn't be where you are.
Yeah.
So the tenacity or the perseverance, where does that come from? How did you say, man, I sent out 75 emails and not one of these people got back to me. Maybe that means I'm not supposed to do this. What made you not do that and then instead just keep trying?
I guess it was the few in between the thousands that I would get a response always just put me at the next level of my career.
I see. They were the right people and a big gig.
I wouldn't say necessarily, but it would always push me to the next level. For example, like the whole Keep Ape thing was like a cold email to the promotional company that was actually throwing the concert. And it was a small underground show, no pay, just like show up with your camera, and like I was like, "Fuck it, let's do it."
Yeah.
And
where was it?
It was the Marlin Room at Webster Hall, which is like this really small venue right next to Webster Hall's main venue.
Where's that?
New York City.
New York City. So there.
So even that, like, I pull up and do that whole thing, and they're really happy. I end up creating a good relationship with them, and then I shoot a few shows for them that like allowed me to continue consistently doing that whole thing. And then I don't know what other email, like, right after that is still just emailing a ton of people. One answered email that was really nice was from Interscope.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of work for Interscope when their artists come to New York City.
Really?
Which is really cool.
Notably who?
Like Playboy Cardi, DaBaby. Who else have I shot for Interscope? I think those are like standouts.
Sure.
Definitely been more, but those are two standouts. And the biggest cold email that was a big game changer was Rolling Loud.
That was a cold email.
That was a cold email. I found out who the media director was. Nasser. And I knew if I was gonna hit him up to cover their Miami show, I had to come like real correct.
Sure.
So I got together with Koziel and with Anthony, and I was like, let's build a proposal deck of like proposing all of us. And I had Beth,
as a team.
Yeah, and I had Beth on that proposal deck too.
Shout out to Beth.
I love her. She's another person who escalated my career to another point where like if it wasn't for her, so many things wouldn't have happened in my career. But yeah, so I compiled all of us into this like proposal packet, and just like I had someone proofread like my
grammar
statement to Nasser, and I sent that out, and maybe like only half an hour later or something.
What?
And it's the funny thing is that I remember I was working on the previous IS chassis, and I was refiberglassing a fender. And I get an email notification from Nasser, and he's like, this is my number, give me a call. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. So the fiberglassing stopped immediately.
Yeah.
And you called that dude right then and there.
Yeah, I was like, what's a good time? He's like, just give me a call right now.
Yeah.
And then I was like, bet. So then we had a conversation, and it led to like, all right, it was only maybe like a month or something before the Miami event, so logistically we only were able to get me and Mike down there for the first one. And it was just a game changer from that moment on. Like, he had told me like no one's ever come that correct to him, and like he was so intrigued just by like our presentation and like the way that we presented the idea of us, because like most people will reach out to something that big as like let me use you guys as an opportunity for me to grow, whereas like we came from the angle of like this is who we are and what we can offer you guys, and I think they really enjoyed that, and they were just like, you know, it was just like a solid idea, and a really, I guess, I don't know. It didn't seem like we were trying to take advantage of who we weren't. It didn't seem like we were trying to take advantage of like how big of a company they are. We just wanted to be a part, or like we just felt like we could become an asset to what's going on.
But see, dude, honestly, Sebastian, I know someone in here is about to roll their eyes, but it isn't just having the balls to send an email. Some people would be like, yo, they're not even going to read this. They don't know me. But not only did you say, I want to reach out to these people, I want to come correct in the way I believe is correct. So let's create this packet, this angle, right?
And it wasn't the first time that we did something like this. Like,
there's
tons of like proposal decks that took hours to make that are in someone's inbox unopened.
Right. But this one, you had someone who understood and appreciated the professional angle in which you did it. And I mean, part of being professional and presenting yourself is, I mean, whether you had someone proofread it or not, or if in 2019 you used Grammarly or something, but I mean, presenting yourself with proper language and professional like angles, that's what got you the response. It wasn't just the artist, the angle of it, like we want to provide you with something.
It was also the work, because like at the end...
You had built a resume at that point. You weren't just out of nowhere.
At the end of the deck was each of our names and information and our sites and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like, once he saw the people that put this together, he's just like, this is what we need.
This
is a team of people that, you know, this is what they do. So...
And how long ago was that?
2 years ago.
And so you've been rocking with them for 2 years now.
Yeah.
But now it's you, Koziel, and Anthony. Remember that first one you said it was just you and Mike?
Yeah, well, the whole team is like 20-something people.
Sure.
But from that proposal, depends. Every show, sometimes Beth can't make it to one because she's on tour. Sometimes Mike can't make it to one. Sometimes I can't make it. Or only one time me and Mike couldn't make it, which was a couple weeks ago for the Bay Area because we were at H2O. Anthony could only make it for one day this weekend, but yeah, it's a mixed batch of all of us.
Yeah, and you guys cover each other's bases when you all can't be there together.
Yeah.
So that's dope, man. See, what's crazy is you're getting to do this with your friends.
Oh, that's the biggest part about it.
That's the best.
biggest part about it is just like, that's why we all help each other, because like, you know, if one of us gets ahead, we all bring each other, you know.
Yeah.
Like we all have Rolling Loud because of one email I sent out. We have certain music videos because of people that Koziel knows. We have, you know, the Rolls Royce stuff because Anthony was one who knew.
I see. That's what makes the team so powerful.
Yeah.
Right?
And Grid Life because Chris built that relationship, you know. So, and then we just all bring each other on board for those projects because we've all become assets. We within by ourselves, we've done things to grow our skill sets to the point where we become assets to each other.
Yes.
So,
yes. That's a beautiful thing, man. I mean, and you would never have seen that coming X amount of years ago. It evolved, and it came to be this, like, you're in this really great space, you know? But, like we touched on, very, very dark times. Depression, sadness, good times, bad times, crashes, right? Vehicularly to emotional crashes, and those ups and downs. Like you said, you're diagnosed with anxiety and depression, but you choose to not allow a tablet to dictate how you feel. You absorb your feelings and work through them, with them, and then past them. And I think a lot of that is very, very important for people to hear. They feel like maybe they can't fight that same type of battle. But hearing a success story, which was by no means a nice or an easy one, right? Still isn't.
Yeah,
right?
It still isn't. It's still like not a success story, at least in my eyes. Like,
which is a good perspective, you know. You keep on grinding, you keep on pushing. I think that's dope, man. And I mean, I've been wanting to sit with you for a long time, you know, and even before this podcast and this branch of the podcast, because the Think Bigger project as a brand, as a company with merch and the ideology, that's there. Yeah. And then enough people of different various like demographics and all kinds were like, honestly, man, you got to do a podcast. The conversations that you have in your like live streams or just me and you at some event somewhere touch on stuff that the average person doesn't even really want to verbalize.
Yeah.
And so it just, it's out of my comfort zone. It still is.
Yeah.
But I just do it because there were enough people of varying types that were like everything from how you design your car builds to people who are sad.
Yeah.
Talk about an extreme different kind of subject matter. They were like, dude, other people don't talk like that, man. You got to do it. So, from music to family to, breakups, these are all life experiences that we all have had or are having or will have.
Yeah.
And that's what community conversations is, right? It's a conversation with a member of the community, and we learn not just about you, but we learn from you.
Yeah.
Everyone can learn. That's what. Imagine if we all actually actively tried to just help each other.
Yeah.
Right. If people were trying to help each other all the time, there would be so much growth.
100%.
Right.
I think that's why it's important to open conversations with people.
Yeah.
Often, like there's people that like even their close friends, they don't sit down and just have a conversation with.
Exactly.
But problems don't seem so big when like you have a community of people that you can relate with or you can converse with.
Dude, and that's why I appreciate, this finally happening, right? In a manner upon which others will have the opportunity to listen and let one or two or all of it resonate with them in some very profound way. So, thank you for being, a member of the Community Conversations branch of the podcast. You guys, everyone listening, I'm going to tag Sebastian. You can follow him on his various channels, see the work that he's putting out, both car-wise and music-wise. If you attend the festivals, you might see this dude in some like low-key position, cranking out his art with a camera. I mean, I know there's a lot of people, millions of people that listen to that music. There's millions of people that are in the cars. And right here is somebody who's been able to carve a path for themselves, still carving, right, in both. And it's an example of how to work through. It's not all, lilacs and fairies and frolicking through a field. It's hard and it hurts and it takes hard work and sacrifice. And I think Sebastian's a very good example of a younger individual who was able to make a way for himself through the same experiences that we all have had or are having. So, Sebastian, thank you for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you. All right, guys. Sebastian, I'll tag him. You guys can see what he's up to. Thank you for listening to the Think Bigger podcast.